What's up, everybody? Well, I got another ROG Ally gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're gonna have a look at Elden Ring. Now, I had a lot of fun with this game. I sucked at it, and it took me forever to beat the freaking last boss in the game, and I'm sure there's some bosses I haven't killed, and some things I haven't done, because this is one of those games, you do something for somebody, now all these other guys hate you, so on and so forth. Oh, you killed this guy, so no longer can you do these quests. So I'm sure there's some stuff I haven't done, but I've killed a lot of the big time bosses. So, took me fucking forever though. And there's still some random ones walking around that aren't even really bosses that have fucking kicked my ass. Like there's this little crow thing that came out of nowhere that was just kind of like, hey man, I'm gonna like land on you and you're gonna be dead in like 2 hits and there's like nothing you can do about it. How about that, bitch? And I was like, oh, well, that's not too good. So just as one example, even though I'm pretty high level, but got 134 hours in this game, so I've definitely played it a little while. So I figured we would do what we usually do. We'll go in, we'll do 1080p, then after that, we'll do my settings, then we'll go and tone down the resolution to 720p and go through all the settings again with my settings again at the end. Now, as usual, I'm going to try to get it to work with the capture computer, but it's probably going to be an ass and not work again, so we're probably going to have to do this all camera recorded again, but I'm still going to try it every single time, so hopefully it'll work out this time. I'm not going to try more than like 5-10 minutes or something like that. So anyway, let's go and hop on into the game. Well, alright guys. Let's take a quick look at the settings here for Elden Ring. We're going to try this maxed out first at 1080p. So let's look through the rest of these settings here real quick. Alright. Not a lot of settings here to look through. So now, let's back out. And also turn ray tracing on, and we'll turn that on maximum too. So we're just gonna run this game completely maxed out at first. It's gonna run like probably 5 FPS if it runs at all. And then we'll go and start turning it down. I'm not gonna go through all the ray tracings. I figure we'll go maximum, and then we'll do medium and low. I think that'll work. And then we'll start on the rest of the settings. Sound good? Alright, let's get into the game. Well, alright guys. Well, we're not quite getting 5 FPS like I thought, but we're definitely not getting what I would consider playable FPS either. We're getting like 13 FPS here. And it's even doing its weird, I'm going to stay at 30 watts even though you have it set at 25 watt nonsense too, so maybe it would be around like 8 if it was only 25. Who knows? But we'll get a tiny bit of gameplay like this, even though almost nobody's going to want to play like this, but it's kind of fun watching the slideshow. God, I would not want to fight even like a normal like soldier like this, though I'd probably get my ass stomped into the ground. So we'll just get like a minute or change of this. We're not going to sit here for 2 minutes doing this. Plus there's too many settings in doing this game. I can't quite afford to do 2 minutes of gameplay for each setting. If I did, the thing would be over an hour long probably. And we're only doing camera gameplay at that. So it's shorter than usual, because I usually do a bunch of screen caps first, and then finish it up with some camera recorded. Oh boy. Well anyway, before I make myself sick, I think that's more than enough. So let's go turn the ray tracing down to medium and see if that makes it at least 20-ish FPS. Probably not. I don't think we're going to get no playable FPS with any ray tracing settings, but I still want to test anyway. So let's go back to the settings. So now we're going to try medium ray tracing quality instead of maximum. We've left the rest of the settings basically the same, but I still want to show you them real fast, just so you guys are familiar with them. And look at that, already back to the top. So now that you guys have seen the settings, let's go back into the game now. It's still probably going to be like 10, 15 FPS, but still, I want to be thorough. Alright guys. Back into the game we are, and yeah, not really much different at all. Pretty much 100% the same as it was before. And if I remember correctly, this is one of the harder places to run the ray tracing, running through the forest too, so I figured it would run through here too. Didn't quite make it the first time. Pretty much had to stop the recording right as I got to the side of the forest, but for the rest of them, it's not like maximum was going to go well anyway. I figured none of the ray tracing settings are going to go well. At least be playable, that is. Man, hearing this music again makes me want to play again. Alright, and with that, it's on to the last ray tracing before we actually get serious and turn ray tracing off. Even though I'm sure max settings are still going to run quite terrible. It'll be night and day difference compared to having ray tracing on, I'm sure. Last up for ray tracing here, we're going to try low, which is honestly still probably going to give us about the same FPS, since this and the Steam Deck probably aren't going to be good at ray tracing. Whoops, that was a mistake. I wanted to go here. So let's look through the settings again, just to show you they're still maxed out. I didn't do no funny business to try to make anything here lower to make it appear to get better FPS. We don't do shit like that on this channel, no siree. But anyway, now that we've been through all the settings, let's go see how the last last ray tracing setting runs. Alright guys, back in the game we are, with low ray tracing now, so let's go ahead and run through the forest again, and as I was guessing, we're getting about the same 12 to 13 FPS we were getting. Though we are getting up to 17 at times, so it must have done a little something something, but let's run our ass through this forest and then see if we still can claim the same thing. Because it was like a solid like 12 or 13 FPS through this whole thing. And no, it looks like we're, yeah, right back to 13, 12, yep. So no matter what you do, ray tracing is going to run like 10, 12 FPS. I mean, unless you turn everything else down to like low, and then what the hell's the point? Why would you make the rest of the game look like shit to turn on some fancy lighting, you know? That's just my idea, though. I've never been about doing that. Ray tracing is something you turn on like slightly older games usually that you can handle it, you know, still staying over 60. You don't have to use DLSS or anything like that. There are a couple games that break that rule, like Cyberpunk is one of them. That one I cannot on my main computer play 4K and ray tracing without some help. It ain't happening. Ooh, flowers. I jump. And now I acquire materials. So yeah, that was quite a shit show, but I was pretty much expecting it to be. Ray tracing doesn't work good on AMD in the first place, especially not lower powered ones like this. So now let's turn ray tracing off and just see how it does maxed, and we'll just lower the settings from there. Now we are turning the ray tracing off. So we're still at 1080p on max settings, at least the preset. I don't know if that's literal max settings or not. But there you go. A quick look at all of the settings here for maximum preset. So now let's go back into the game and we'll see if we can at least get close to 20, 30 FPS versus fucking 13. Still not going to be playable almost assuredly, but should be a huge difference compared to having ray tracing on. Well guys, here we go. Now we've just got the game maxed out. And yeah, doing a lot better than I thought. But still can't hit that 30 plus number that most people want. But it's doing way better than the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck could only manage like 12 FPS here, if I recall. Sometimes it might have gotten up to like 17, 18 in places when I did this. But look at this guy. He can actually get up to 30, 32 FPS at some points when you're not running through the harder run forests and stuff. And this might not even be the hardest place to run. This is like still pretty much the beginning of the game. If anybody knows like a really tough spot to run, like in terms of graphics, let me know and I'll come back and redo this whole video there. But that's just a place I feel comfortable going back and forth. Especially because I know no monsters can just kill me all of a sudden. There's no big dragon that are just going to show up and kill me. No, nothing like that. So I know I can just get you guys the footage, showing you guys how it runs. Because these videos are not about me showing off how good or bad I am at games. Because I'm not really that great at most video games. I play them for fun. Like this one, I die all the time when I fight shit. But I don't give up. I keep trying and learning their attack patterns and what I can do, and then eventually I win. So yeah, this thing's actually doing pretty good. I'm starting to get a little discouraged because it wasn't running some of those older games good, but AMD doesn't do great at DirectX 9. I think a lot of those were DirectX 9 games. And they ran so good on the Steam Deck because it just puts everything into, what do you call it, DirectX 12 to Vulkan, you know, with its cool little stuff that it does. I'm no Linux guy, so. Anyway, it's been a little longer on this one than I thought, but let's go to the next setting. All right, now we're gonna do the high preset quality settings, still at 1080p and all that good snaz. So let's go into our advanced settings, and as you can see, it tones everything down to good old high, just like it says. So that's at least nice. I like when a game does that. Like some games don't even change everything, you know, when you change the presets. So it's nice to see a game that actually does. So, now that we got that out of the way, it's back to the game we go, of course. Alright, Elden Ring. 1080p high now. And we're close to that 30 FPS mark, but still falling behind a little bit. But honest to God, this is about how I played on my Steam Deck too. Not like everything on high, it was like a mixture of high, medium, and a couple things on low. But it still would drop down to like 27, 28 in some spots like this, but it wasn't the end of the world. Aha. But yeah, if you're okay with a 30-ish FPS experience, you can kind of get away with high, but it will drop under 30 just a little bit here and there. Though, we're only right here. It could drop down to 30 or fucking 26 or under at other places farther away in the game, you know, and harder to run spots. But like I said, I don't know where the hardest spots in this game to run are, so that's why I just kind of stuck by here. Yeah, see, look, 24, 25. So he still dropped quite a bit below. I wouldn't like that, so I'd still want to tone some stuff down. But then again, I almost never use presets in games anyway. I'm always tinkering, trying to get as much graphics as I can get while still staying at my preferred FPS target. I know a lot of people just want to get in there and play the game though, and that's why the presets exist. Just throw a couple on them, you're happy, and boom, you're ready to game. As long as you can find one that tickles your fancy. Anyway though, let us move on. Alright guys, now we're on medium preset here. So let's go through. You can see we're still at 1080p as well. So here's the settings for medium. And already back to the top. Quite a few settings, but at the same time not too many, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's get back into the game now. Hopefully now we can stay above 30 all the time. But only one way to find out. Well, we're not off to a good start on medium. We're already at 26, 28 again. So it can't quite stay at 30 still, even on medium at 1080p. Unfortunately. Not in every spot though. As you can see here though, we're above 30. Running through our little foresty area here. Got a little rainstorm going too. We're at 25 watts as well. I'm always at 25 unless I state otherwise, or if somebody requests me to test a game at a certain wattage or something like that, and resolution and all of that. Then I'll do just that. Other than that, I just kind of stick to these presets and do my own thing. Wow, we're up into the 40s even over here, so that's at least nice. Alright then, now let's go back. I wonder if it was just the rain killing our FPS mostly. But I mean, rain is part of the game. You can't prevent it from raining back. No, I want good FPS. Give me 30 plus, no rain please, you know? Game's gonna do what it wants to do. Oh, under 30 a little bit, down to 29, oh no. But I'm curious if we get back up to where we started, if it's going to still drop down to like 24, 26 again. Yeah, we kind of stared right about here. It goes between 27 and 24, it seems. No. It must have just been the rain making it drop. Oh, there we go, 28, 29 instead of 24 or 26. So it must have been the rain killing our frames a little bit more. But anyway, let's go drop it down to low now and see how that does. We shall now do a little low now. So cruise through these settings real quick. As you can see, we're on low. So let's take a quick at some advanced settings here. That way you guys can see what it did to the settings. And there we are. Already through all of the settings, so now let's go see how low does. I'm hoping low will at least get everybody that 30 FPS plus experience in this game, but hey, there's only one way to find out. Let's get back in the game and see. Alright guys, we're right in the beginning where we've been starting off here, and at that same spot that we were only getting like 27, 20, 28, we still dropped down to 29, but we're right at that 30 FPS mark now. So I think we can say most places low will get you 30 plus. But there are going to be places where it's going to drop, almost guaranteed. I mean, we're just, we're just touching 30 now. So there might be some spots, just be aware of that. I think this is another game, if you guys want to stay above 30 the whole time, you're going to have to drop it down to 720p, unfortunately. But me, I'd probably just leave it at 1080p and do my settings. Seeing as though they're all very similar in the FPS department anyway, so long as you don't go overboard with maximum or ray tracing. It seemed like medium and low and all those were all very similar. So I'm sure I can find some, like, good settings here that make it look good and whatnot. Though it doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to do, probably because of the 1080p, but looking at those trees and whatnot, that makes it look pretty bad. We still drop a little bit, so yeah, this is what it reminded me playing like on my Steam Deck. This is about the performance I got. Sometimes it would go up to like 34 or something like that, and sometimes drop down to like 28, but that's about it. Wouldn't really drop much below that. Anyway though, I think it's time for my settings now, so let's get on to them. Let us have a quick look at my settings now. So we're still at 1080p. Custom settings, of course, because I fucked around with them, and here's the settings I decided to go with for around a 30 FPS experience. It's still going to drop a little below every now and again, but still. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, and you guys can have a good look at the screen, copy the settings to your heart's desires, now we can get back into the game. Alright guys, now for my settings. Now as you saw, no matter what we did, there were times it dropped under 30 no matter what. So even my settings are still going to drop under 30 here and there, but I figured we'd try to get a decent looking game with around the same performance in the FPS department. And I think I did a pretty good job. Hell, we're even in the 40s almost now in this particular spot. Don't know what's so hard to run about the other spot I was at, but hey, we were still right around 30 there, so that's good. So it seems in some places my settings could even be a 40 FPS experience. That's nice. Though, it seems like majority of the time we're closer to the 32 to 30. But that's okay. Still fun that you can even play Elden Ring at even close to playable frame rates on a handheld like this. And we should be able to hit 60 or close to it on 720p with correct settings. Again, it probably won't be able to hit it constantly, but I think we can get close, just like we are here with 30. But only time will tell. We're going to start that next after we're done with my settings here, of course. Already down to 55% battery. Probably going to have to plug this thing in halfway through my video. That is a pretty common occurrence though when you're playing at 25 watts. You're not going to get much more than around an hour-ish of battery life. Some games lower, some games higher. It completely depends on how hard the thing's working. And what frame rate you're playing at as well. But in a time like this, it doesn't really matter what you set it at. It's struggling, giving it everything it's got just to get these FPS it's getting. So it's being run hard as hell. In any case though, why don't we now go drop things down to 720p. So now we have dropped it down to 720p. And we're doing the same thing we did last time, even though it's pretty stupid. We're going to run the game at max, with max ray tracing quality. So let's go look at the rest of the settings just real quick for you guys. And there we are. So with that, why don't we go ahead and hop back on into the game and see how many FPS we get. I wonder if it'll be exactly the same as before, if we'll get like 2 or 3 FPS more due to the lower resolution. But we gotta jump into the game to find out. Well, alright guys, here we go. Completely maxed out. Ray tracing and everything, and I'm actually surprised. We're right at around a 20 FPS experience. Oh, there we go. Now we're dropping now that we're going into the woods. There we go. Now we're back to that 13, 14. Alright, so no, it is about the same. Certain spots might look okay, but I think, now thinking back, even at 1080p, we were able to hit like 20 FPS looking at certain spots, but yeah. I did not think this was going to go well. So, it doesn't really seem to be that much better even with the lower resolution, really. This thing's just not really capable of the ray tracing, but I was never really expecting it to anyway, but a couple people were asking me how it did, so I figured in games that had ray tracing, I'd at least do a quick couple settings in it just to show people how it does. So far, in the games I've tried, I wouldn't turn on the ray tracing, but that's just me. Hell, there could be people out here that are totally okay with 23 to 25 FPS, as long as they got ray tracing and the thing looks crisp. Not me, though. This is way too many. Way too few FPS for me. Way too many. Yeah, right. 18, 19, I can't handle it. It's too much. It's too powerful. But no. So let's walk back through our cool forest here. We'll just call it the Forest of Lag. Though I will commend it. It's not crashed yet or anything yet. A couple games we have gotten some crashes in, but it hasn't crashed Elden Ring yet. Though I haven't sat here and played for hours and hours and hours, but the first time you guys are seeing it ran is about the first time I've played on it. Like, I really quickly hit play this time just to make sure the fucking game ran and turned on. And wasn't, like, stuck, like, what do you call it? Windowed, like Resident Evil 1 was, where it's like, oh, you want to mess with settings? Nope, game crash. Haha. No gameplay video for you. Hopefully somebody can figure out how to get around that so I can actually do that game. But in any case, we've made it back to our starting point. So now let's go drop that ray tracing down to medium, even though it's going to be more of the same. And we'll just do exactly what we did at 1080p. We're doing some medium ray tracing now, with the rest of the thing still on the preset of maximum. So still I want to show you the settings though, just real quick. Makes it easier for once I start making the videos and doing chapters and stuff on YouTube too. And people just like making sure you're not, you know, fooling around, fucking with the settings, making it appear better than it is. We don't do that, but I like showing proof. But anyway, now let's go into the game. Here we go, ray tracing on medium now. Gonna do running the same little spot here, see what's what. Well, it seems like we're over 13 FPS so far, so that's at least somewhat of an improvement. Let's see if it stays at around 18 or if we drop down into the 13, 14s again. Alright, we've made it to our little church turnaround point, so now let's double back and head back to the starting spot. And it seems like it has started to rain as well. Now we're at 17 now, but that's still above 13. As long as we can stay above 13, we know the setting actually helped and changed, you know? It didn't seem like it was doing much when we were at 1080p. It seemed to be about the same 14 FPS no matter what one we put it on for ray tracing. And of course, if everybody knows where a better place to test ray tracing is, just let me know. I do not know where all the best places to test this game are at all. Just trying my best. But anyway, on to the next ray tracing. Now we will do ray tracing on low, still with the rest of the game on maximum. So let's check out those advanced settings here one more time. And there we go, guys. That's through all the settings. So now, why don't we go get back into the game? Right on, guys. So now we got ray tracing on low. So we'll just run around again in our little area here. Seems like low seems to be about the same FPS as medium in the ray tracing department. We're still getting 17, 18 over here. Mind you, it is raining in a different time of day. I can't really control that, unfortunately. But that's just a good lesson. You can't control what a game does in the weather and all these other times of day, so you might as well just see what it does when those come up. And turn around. A whopping 20 FPS. Haha, I have picked something. Alright, here we go, guys. We're back at the starting spot. So now let's turn this godforsaken ray tracing off and see what this thing can really do. Hell, maybe it can even do 30 FPS plus maxed at 720. We don't know. We can only find out, and we can only find out by going to the next setting. So now we're going to turn ray tracing off and just leave the game at maximum preset. So let's go see what the maximum preset does for you guys one last time here, even though you saw a bunch during the last thing. I just want to go through it again just so everyone can see. And there we go. So with that out of the way, let's go in and we'll see how maxed out does at 720. Here we go, game maxed out at 720p, but no ray tracing. So we'll see what kind of frames we stay at. So far we seem to be in the 30s to 40s, so that's at least nice. Can we stay above 30 the whole time? That would be nice. You know, we're getting close to going under 30. We're right at 30 right now, so that tells me there's got to be some parts of the game where it's still going to drop under 30 a little at max. But it's doing a pretty damn good job, if 30 is all you want. I would like a little more than 30 most of the time, but that's just me. And I can still deal with 30, because I played a lot of this game on my Steam Deck at 30 and under, so... Yep. As long as this game's 30 plus, I'm a happy guy. It's not super ultra fast paced, like first person shooter, twitchy action. It just has to get smooth enough FPS so monsters don't just kick your ass. And you're trying to dodge and you're dodging at the wrong time and this, that, and the other thing, you know? That's about the only time frame rate fucks you over, so. Like I was saying, 14, 15 FPS, no. I don't think we would have much fun with that. Man, we're already down to 33. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get done with this video before it gets to its 20% mark, and I don't like stuff getting under 20%, so that's usually where I'll stop and plug it in. Generally speaking, I don't like getting stuff over 80% either, but if I did 20 to 80, I'd have even less time to make the video, so I just, with this thing, I still let it get up to 100. No, it's not great for the battery, but this thing's easy to open and whatnot. If I fucking cook the battery, I'll just open it up and plop a new one in, no harm, no foul. And hopefully not break the connector off like I did when I was like 13 with my first laptop opening experience. Anyway though, that's neither here nor there. So now, let's go move on to the next setting. Now is the time for some high quality preset here at 720p. So as you can see right there, we're on high. So let's go check out the settings. It literally puts everything on high. It is a very high setting indeed. And with that, we've already gotten through the settings, so let's get back into the game and we'll see how high will do. Even though Max did a pretty damn good job already. High should be a great middle ground, I'm hoping. Although, that's what medium is really for, but I'm hoping high will be more than playable. But let's go find out. Now we've got the game on high preset here, 720p. So let's just run down our little area again. Okay, and I don't want to say something too soon, but it looks like the spot where we dropped to 30 before, we're dropping to only the 34 this time, and 33. Oh, a 32 as well, but I think this one's probably will stay above 30 like the whole time. There, of course, may be small outliers in the world where there's a spot here or there where you might drop down to 27, 28. Seeing as I'm just running around in this spot over and over again, but that's just my judgment call. This thing, from what I remember playing it, there weren't too many places that had huge FPS differences for things. Like on my laptop, there was nowhere I could go where it's like, okay, well you can get 60 here, but you can't over here. It's only going to be 30 here, champ. I mean, unless you're trying to do ray tracing, because even my laptop falls flat on its face. Everything falls flat on its face with ray tracing in this game, honestly. Even my main desktop can't stay above 60, even with DLSS's help. That's why ray tracing, for me, just generally, I don't use it very often. I like the FPS. And this game still looks great. It doesn't need ray tracing. It's not the greatest looking game ever, but it looks more than good enough for how awesome it is. And this just goes to prove your game doesn't need to have the best graphics in the world to do good and sell good and have people have fun with it. Graphics are only half the story. In fact, I think most of the time I've been having a lot more fun with a lot of the older games I've been picking back up lately, and their graphics aren't nothing to write home about by today's standards. But anyway, let us now move on. Going to do the medium preset now at 720. There you go, medium. Advanced settings for you guys real quick here. And the thing is already down to 26% battery, probably 25 by the time I actually get into the game. So I'm probably going to have to stop after this one, but I'm going to try to at least get to low done too. I have to charge it before I get to my settings though, but you guys luckily don't have to wait for that. Here we go, 720p medium graphics settings here. So, let us run around once more. And the game definitely looks a lot worse now, but look at that, we're actually almost getting 40 FPS this time around. So if FPS is all you care about, I think probably low is going to be the way to go. Because for me personally, it's not really getting so much more than it was at high that I would want to make it look this bad. This is the same problem I came with the Steam Deck. I could get like over 30, but then I had to make the game look like Dookie. And like I just got done saying in the last thing, it's not like this thing's graphics are anything to write home about, so yeah, tone them too far down, and it looks pretty bad. I'm just being honest, especially at 720p. Though it doesn't look as bad on the screen itself as it would if we were screen capturing it and recording it, which still isn't working because this thing's being an ass. I'm hoping that some updates come out and stop that from happening soon, but so far I haven't gotten any more updates that make this thing any better or faster. I'm hoping by the end of the month there'll be another one, but we'll see. We're at the very beginning of the next. Hopefully there'll be a new BIOS and maybe some new AMD video drivers and a bunch of other stuff. This thing's very, very new still, so I'm not surprised it's not running absolutely flawlessly in every game and crashing certain other games and this, that, and the other thing. It's new. Steam Deck had plenty of issues when I got that at first too, and I even got mine like as part of the 4th wave of shipping, so they already had fixed a bunch of shit. I didn't even have to deal with that. A bunch of other people did. But anyway, now let's go move on to low. So last up before my settings now, we're going to do the preset of low at 720p here. So let's quickly look over all those settings here. And there we are. And since it's at 22% battery already, I'm going to just go ahead and go plug it in now. There's no way we're getting through the gameplay without it dropping under 20. So, luckily you guys don't have to wait for that. It's YouTube video editing magic, so you guys will pop right into the game right now. Alright, well after a little charge here, we got it back up to 90-something%. So, Now let's run around again on low here at 720p. You guys can see what kind of FPS to expect and how it looks and all that stuff. Does not look very impressive now. This is why I avoided playing it like this even on the Steam Deck. Because the game's not all about graphics, but still. It looks a lot better at medium and higher settings. All the low settings kind of are not great. Except for I think you can turn a couple things to low that don't really matter, like volumetric lighting and stuff like that. Half the time that barely changes and you kill your FPS by fucking like 20 FPS sometimes with that shit. Although it's usually the fog. If there's like volumetric fog and God rays and all that shit. Okay, we've made it to our little church turnaround point. So yeah, you're not going to get a 60 FPS experience on the Steam Deck in Elden Ring, unfortunately. No matter what you do with the settings, in its current state anyway. Maybe once they get some more updates out here and some more graphics driver updates, then maybe, but I think that's a stretch going all the way from 40 to 60, even on low here. But a game like this, I really don't need mondo crazy FPS. I would have liked 60, don't get me wrong, but I played this whole game at 30 to 35 and drops down to frickin' whatchamacallit, down to like 28. Anyway though, we've made it back to our little area here, so now let me go mess around with the settings a little myself, and we'll see what we can come up with for my settings for 720p here. Now we shall do my settings here for 720p, so no ray tracing or anything like that, and it says custom, because of course we're on custom settings, so here are the settings I went with. And there we are. So, why don't we hop back into the game and we'll see what's what. Well, now here we go with my settings, so let's just run around in the same area we've been running around in. And yeah, more than playable with my settings. Sure, it's not no 60 FPS, but that's okay. Hopefully it'll get a little bit better with some updates. Getting into the 45s and 46s here. And it's not like it's got like super stutters, so that's pretty nice. Because I remember when this game first came out, it was Stutter City. So it's nice to see they've worked on that a little. Although maybe they're not as noticeable when you're not getting 60, because I'm used to playing this game at 60. I'm sure a lot of people went and broke the frickin' FPS limit and went up higher, but I was scared of getting banned, so I didn't want to do anything to fuck with the game. I just left it alone. Yeah, my one sword is very long. Kind of reminds me of Sephiroth's sword, if I'm honest. And then in my eyes, I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, cool, that's going to give me a lot of range. And I could use that. Because I have to get up in things' faces. I don't get to just attack them with magic from afar. So that's why other reason I die so often, you know? Anyway, though, that's about all we got for Elden Ring. As you can see, it runs pretty damn good. Not no 60 FPS experience like I was hoping for, but hey, it is what it is. I think I was overestimating this thing's capabilities, but still, it's better at the Steam Deck at a lot of stuff, and it can do a lot of stuff the Steam Deck can't do, so I'm still very glad I bought it. I don't want anybody to sit here and think, oh man, I hate this thing. Because if I hated it, I would have just sent it back and say, fuck you, give me my 741 bucks back, you know? But anyway, now, let's go wrap this video on up. Well, alright guys, that is a wrap for Elden Ring on the Asus ROG Ally, and it handled it pretty good. I was hoping for at least a 60 FPS experience on maybe low or something for the people that like that, but for me, I'm used to playing it at like 30 on my Steam Deck, so if it can do 30 to 40 at way higher settings and resolution, well then I'm a happy guy. Plus, I think there's still room for improvement. Everybody seems to be on the same opinion that it lost a bunch of performance with this BIOS it's on, so it should do a lot better once they update that. I mean, unless they're gonna do what they did with my laptop and they're like, oh, no, only good BIOS is 316 and in this case 317. So maybe that'll just be the best BIOS forever. If that's the case, I'm gonna go buy a friggin' USB-C drive and I'm gonna put it back to that damn BIOS, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, that is about all I got for you guys for this particular video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it. And until the next video, peace out, guys.